Okay, so put up your hand if you would like me to not use a mic, to have no mic. Put up your hand if you want no mic. Okay, put up your hand if you would like a microphone. Okay. All right. Test. Whoop. I probably should turn it on. Hold on. This will work better. Okay, test. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, is this good? Louder? Now? Higher? Oh, it's good? It's good? Okay, all right. All right, let me get this set up. Which one looks like Keynote? This one looks like Keynote. Play. Oh, it's working. Okay, good. This was not cooperating earlier, so I'm really happy. Just on the wrong slide. Oh, there we go. This is good. Okay. So what are we going to talk about here today? So I want to talk about 3 different things. So I'm a belief that I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to do it together, and then at the end I'll tell you what we did. So the 3 things that I'm going to touch on are, number 1, the importance of play and why play matters, and then how this ties into games and Agile games. Then I want to talk to you, the second part, which is kind of the meat of it, is really about what's the landscape of play and Agile games look like. Like how big is the canvas? And a way to think about it so that when you're approaching this large space, you have some way of thinking about this. And that's the way you can help to understand why you're using it, how you're using it, what you're trying to accomplish, as well as a way to access resources and focus your attention. So that's kind of the landscape of play. The final thing that I want to talk about is actually taking play beyond just, I guess, the superficial and beyond what it means to just interact with our current selves, but really talk about how we need to actually change parts of who we are in order to really deeply engage in play the way we could when we were young. So that's the third part. So that'll be a little bit different from the other ones. Okay, so I'd encourage people, if they have questions, to ask questions. I would encourage people to give me feedback. So for example, how are we doing for audio? How's the volume? We're good. Okay, all right. So let's get started. Okay, so I want to start with the importance of play. So this is Agile games. So for sometime around last year, it stopped being about the games. It was never really about the games. It was about the objectives, what I was trying to accomplish with the games. But for last year, something really important happened, is that it stopped being about games and it started being about play. That games were simply a mechanism for me to get to play, and play being a very good thing, the very valuable thing that we want to have in our personal lives, that we want to have with our kids, the kind of thing we want to have in the workplace to get amazing results. So I want to talk about play for a bit. And in particular, I want to talk about the work of Stuart Brown, who wrote a book called The Science of Play. Has anyone read his book or seen his TED Talk? Okay, I've got a link here. I strongly encourage that if you find this interesting, go watch the TED Talk. So the URL's there. The slides are will be posted, and I'll tweet where the location of the slides are. So you'll be able to get all these URLs. You don't need to write this stuff down. All right. So this was a really great awakening for me. So I want to go through what the pieces are. Number 1, play. Play, really, it's the foundation for creativity and innovation. Their sense of playfulness. Scientists in the laboratory who are discovering great things, it's because they're really playing. They're just really playing with these really complex ideas or these really complex, chemical chains, right? But that's the way they have fun, because that's, they're really educated and they're really smart. So that's how they get their fun, is by doing these really crazy scientific experiments, right? But it's still play, right? They're not forced to do it. They're doing it because they love it, right? So that's a key characteristic of play, that is voluntary. We do it for its own sake. You love your job is if you keep doing it and you didn't get paid for it, right? That, it's fun. It puts you in a state of mind called flow, right? So there's a notion of flow where we get into a state where time evaporates, where things just go by and we're fully engaged in our activity, right? That's what play is about, is getting into a state like that. Like it's an altered state of mind. Like chemically, we're different when we're in a state of play. right? And being in this chemically different state is what feels really good and gets outstanding results, right? So neurologically, like they've done tests. They've wired people up and they go, like, play lights up everything. Like when people are in play, their brains are like on fire. Like it's like there's lots of connections. There's learning going on. There's fun. That's a great place to be. We want to be there. This is the, I mean, there's an argument that all we really ever want to do is find flow at work, in our personal lives, so that we're engaged in a meaningful way with what's going on. What else about play? Right? It's innate to animals. Right? It's an essential part of development. We need play. Animals need play to learn. We need it to survive. It's essential. It's not like play is like some thing that you don't really need. We need this to learn and survive. That's how we're wired up. Right? We learn social cues. We learn about understanding about how to take risks, how to be safe. Right? That's what play gives us. And when we're playing with others in a safe environment, it gives us a way to rehearse. Like all the stuff kids do where they're scrapping around and playing around, like they need to do that because it's their way of learning. Right? Neoteny is an interesting term, is that we play throughout life, whereas in biological systems, play mostly happens for the young, right? And if you look at, let's say, wolves play when they're young, right? But then they stop that and they become adult wolves and they learn how to work in packs and stuff like that. But they use play to learn. But what do? We created dogs, right? So dogs are just wolves frozen at an evolutionary state where they just keep on playing, right? Right? The dog is here, right? I mean, they do that for, it's not just when they're puppies. They do that their whole lives. Dogs are actually designed to play, right? That's why they're very popular animals, right? Because they help people reconnect with play. So, what is the opposite of play? Play. Work. Any other answers?
Not play.
What is not play? Death? Stress? Okay, so it's actually depression. Right? So if you think about what is depression, depression is where people are unmotivated, they're not engaged in what's going on, that they're not resourceful. Play is the opposite. Play is like they're fully engaged, they're fully resourceful, they're like they have extra resources than they normally have because they're having fun. And they can do like crazy accomplished things. Right? Like work and play actually go hand in hand. Like if we have meaningful work and we enjoy our work, we'll find a way to make play, right? We'll find a way to have fun. That play actually helps work go better. And this is the thing that doesn't exist in many, 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 many companies, right? Like I was consulting 2 weeks ago. I was launching a Scrum team, and I was at the toy store. I decided I was going to go and buy some Nerf guns to bring some toys into the environment. Because this was a really good team. They were ready to play. They were already starting to play, and they just needed some tools. So I thought, okay, but wait a second. This is a large financial company, right? Like this is like really conservative environment. Is this a good idea? I thought, what the hell? And it turned out to be a great thing. I bought the guns. They sat there all day on the table in the Scrum room. And at the end of the day, one of the architects goes, I've been waiting all day to open up this box. And we had a shooting round to shoot some cups off the wall. And it's like, it helps people do great work when people can take time out and play. Executives do it. I'll get to that in a second. So, there's a saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, it actually doesn't make him a dull, it makes him a depressed boy, right? If it's all work, that's no fun. Right? And a lot of us, there's a symptom in our society, kids, adults, have overprogrammed lives. Right? We're too busy and we don't have time for play. This is true for me. I was going through this and I was preparing this and I was going through the book and I was like going, crap! I don't spend enough time playing. I'm too focused on work and getting results and so I've changed that. I've started changing that in my life. But there's a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough go play. Right? Like when you have really big challenges, people need to get creative to get out of the box or on the edge of the box or whatever you want to call it, right? To get new ideas. Right. So I'd like you to write down what your play history is. So think about this. As a kid, what got you really excited? So everyone gets a chance to reconnect with your play history right now. There's some cards on the table. All right, grab a card and write down on this, when you were a kid, what got you really excited? And you can talk about one incident that you remember that was really interesting, or you can make a bullet list of all the different things that you just loved to do as a kid. All right, great. So something that I'd like you to think about, not right now, but perhaps later, is like when and why did some kinds of play disappear from your life? Like, I know for me it was because I was in high school and I thought, well, geez, I got to stop doing this game stuff because like no one else is doing this and it's not that serious. And I got to focus on school and get a job and blah, 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 right? I know that's when a lot of it died for me. So think about when it disappeared. And once you've reconnected with how that feels good, you may want to think about how do you want to bring some of those things back into your life, right? I mean, Stuart Brown talks about, he's actually a medical doctor, he's a psychiatrist, or I don't know what. And he talked about having people rediscover their sense of play so they can find meaning in their life. For one woman, it was going back to horseback riding, which she'd done when she was young. Right? So it could be anything. It could, because we're all individual. We all had our own experiences. So I encourage you to reconnect with your sense of play, because that's going to have valuable results both in your professional life as well as your personal life. Okay. So here's all the stuff together. This infographic is actually on my website if you want to go get it and print it out and keep it around. It just kind of walks through what are the key elements of play and why it matters to us. Okay, so before closing things on play, I'd like to talk about how play is connected to games. So games are wonderful. We have some folks playing the Marshmallow Challenge here. And that leads to play. So games are good because they help us get to play. And play is good because that helps us get to flow, right? So I'm really struggling with, well, am I really trying to get to flow as a primary thing, or am I just trying to get to play? Because that'll help me get flow. And I think I'm stuck at play, because there are many, many different ways of getting into a state of flow, but play works just so well. It's just so effective at getting to a good place that I think for me that it's not really about games. Games are just a way to get to play, right? And yeah, sure, play is a way to get to flow, but it's really about when I want to focus on and spend my time and energy, think about how do I introduce play into the teams I'm working with, into my own work, into the life I live, right? And it seems that's the right place to focus. It's good to understand the context of flow. I've actually just started reading this book. This is by this guy who has this unpronounceable name. Can anyone say this name? Mikhail. Say that? Csikszentmihalyi. Okay, great, thank you. And it's really interesting because this is really, they're larger. Like flow is more than just play. So if this is really something exciting for you, go and learn about this, because flow is really about finding optimal experience, right? And it's a whole set of learning around that. Okay. Great. So any questions or comments? I've been talking for quite a bit about play, or your play history, or things they want to share that came up for them when they did their play history.
I have a question. So this concept of flow sounds pretty intriguing. So what are the other ways other than play to get into flow?
Yeah. So flow is the concept of being connected with experience and losing a sense of time, right? So it could be, some people do it when they're doing music, when they're doing gardening. There's some very special ways that we have in our society for getting to flow, like things like yoga and martial arts are intentionally designed that when people get past like the certain starting steps, that they get into flow very, very quickly, right? I know in the software development area, like software developers love programming, because they get into a state of flow. And one of the challenges around Agile is that it says, well, we know you love getting into a state of flow here when you went away in the corner and didn't talk to anyone for a week. And we want you to stop doing that. We want you to come and work with these people on a regular basis and talk to them, right? And it's like, ooh, well, for them, coming from here to here, this is a bad move. This is a bad move because you're taking away what they love, right? And it's like, well, guess what? There are really powerful ways to experience flow over here, but for them it's new, so they need time to actually learn it and integrate it to get flow with pairing, to get flow with working closely with other people, and get flow in a different way, right? So I think flow is like a really powerful driving dynamic in people's behavior.
So when you're trying to get the developers who get into flow with their terminal and try to introduce play, which I've tried in a couple of places, frequently run into a lot of resistance because it's so far outside of their comfort zone that they look at it as, they call it a waste of time, we got better things to do, any other number of reasons.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that kind of resistance?
Yeah, you know what? I'd like you to save that for after we do part 3, because that's kind of we're going to touch on some of the challenges about bring play. What's that? So the question was, what do you do with people who don't want to go into play, like who don't want to go play, who put up barriers, who put up resistance? And I said, let's revisit after we go on to the third topic, because I think that touches on what I think are some of the underlying challenges, really.
Do you think there's such a thing as passive flow or benefits from watching other people in a state of flow? I mean, is that why you love artists?
So beautiful things, like when we go out in nature and we go for hikes and we see the beautiful vistas, that can induce a state of flow with us, right? Same thing when why do people visit art galleries? Because it can give them a sense of aesthetics and appreciation, and people get a state of flow and enjoyment out of that, right? So yeah, there are lots of there's like a laundry list this big of the different ways people can access a state of flow, right? It's anything that we find intrinsically rewarding and we lose sense of time. For your grandma could be knitting or whatever. Right?
But if you're not in flow, but somebody near you is in flow, I'm just wondering about.
I don't think it works like enthusiasm is contagious, right? So you may not be, but because you can get entrained in their energy level, right? And then you will be in flow, right? And that's partly why we want to be around those people who have that energy and can bring those people together. Okay, other questions?
Did you
Comments?
say that being in the zone is essentially analogous to a state of flow?
Yeah, that's the description of flow, yeah. Yeah, being in the zone, right? Whether you're playing a video game or whether you're coding or doing some other pleasurable leisure activity, a bike ride, whatever it is, right? Okay, great. Other questions or comments?
You talked about the history. One of the things that for me seemed to happen is you mentioned high school, and I think that was pretty relevant. Play became a sport, and play became very competitive. Play became very isolated. That you were in or you were out. It wasn't everybody gets a chance. It became you had to be selected.
Yeah. So did everyone hear that? He's talking about in high school where play became competitive, and you were either on the team or out, right? And it wasn't so much about the enjoyment. It was about competing and winning. And competing and winning really can be the enemy of play, right? Because the people who are the best in the world, they do it because they're trying to beat their own personal times, because they're doing it for themselves, because they find the activity intrinsically rewarding. Those are the people who keep on going to the gym, right? The people who actually like going to the gym, right? Not because they're trying to have better health or something because someone told them it's a good idea, right? There was a question back there.
Could you make the argument that play and flow are the same thing, and that the only difference would be to an observer looking at it as to whether it's perfect?
So I don't think play and flow are the same thing. Flow is a much broader tent. Like flow is a really, really big tent. Play is a specific pattern of behavior that's built into us, that's neurologically based, that's designed for us to help learn, right? And it's a very powerful way. People who are in a state of play are in a state of flow. So flow is like a bigger tent, is the way I think about it. Like I don't know, maybe you could do it a different way, but that's the way I think about it. Okay? Great. One more question? Are we good? Okay, let's keep going. Great questions. Thank you. So what I want to do is go through a guided tour of games and play. What I have here is, what do we have here? So it's really about making work more like play, right? And there are a bunch of different ways you can do it. It could be about using play for learning. It could be using play for work, for having games to get work done. This could be having games to learn stuff. It could be about things you can do to help build people's play skills so that they get better at being able to play. Or it could be about gamification. It's about, well, we'll just change the environment. So we use game concepts to help people enjoy their work more, enjoy their work environment more. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to give you a handout. Yeah, can I get some help with that? There we go. And what I'd like you to do is to individually and as a group see how many of the things you can put in these quadrants of things that you already know today about games and play. So it could be a game, it could be a technique, it could be an activity. And I'm not sure which group is going to have the most things filled up. Not that it's a competition. To do is I'd like to ask anyone at any table if they found one that was really fun, that people thought the table laughed and got a good laugh out of it, if they'd like to share what it is and then where it goes. So people can just start shouting it out now.
So for gamification, we built a WTF meter.
Okay, WTF meter. All right. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. Good. Okay. What else? What else got laughs at your tables? Someone else? What else was interesting?
Hide and seek.
Hide and seek? Okay, where does that go?
Play for work. You can learn
There? Okay. Okay, all right, good. Awesome. Okay, what else? Someone else? What else came out of your tables that was interesting?
Beer in the fridge. Building play skills.
Beer in the fridge helps play skills. Okay, cool. I like it. Yes. All right. Good. Okay, what else? What else?
One that came up at our table was a burn down as a gamification.
Okay, cool. So you can put a burn down chart as gamification because the team has feedback. They're trying to burn that down. All right, nice. Okay, cool. Over here.
We had a unit test coverage leaderboard.
Yeah. All right. So having that gamification, like, whoa, what's our test coverage? How are we doing? Right? Okay, cool. Someone back there? Was there a hand?
Yeah, we have Angry Bird scans for code scans to report problems.
Angry Bird what?
Scans.
Okay, Angry Bird scans to report code problems. Cool. So that would go under gamification. All right, nice. All right, so where people make up a story collaboratively, like an improv game. So that's kind of like probably up here, play building, right? Getting people used to co-creating together. Nice. Okay, good. Good.
I was on a team that basically gave drink tickets for solving bugs in Trump and
Drink tickets for solving bugs. That's gamification, right? It's making work play, right? Right, making fun. Okay, great, great.
Yeah, hockey games too. Like you look at sports, they'll do like scrimmage. You set up a 2-on-2 to work on certain skills, like building play skills.
Okay, building play skills. Okay, so by practicing. So what's the actual practice you use? What do you do to practice?
Well, you talk to your hockey game, making simulations.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool, good, okay. One more? Are we good? 2020 play for learning? So this is like the innovation game? It is for learning, right? Because it's learning about the product, right? I would kind of put it that almost more for play for work, because it's about getting work done. It's getting the work of product managers done, of understanding what's important for customers, right? So whereas play for learning, I tend to think about, this is what we do to learn concepts, to make ourselves better, not about getting the work done, right? Okay, good one.
I used a couple of times the Creationary by Lego.
Okay.
And I think it goes to play for learning too.
Okay, okay, great. So what's that called? It's called the?
Creationary. It's a board game by Lego.
Okay, Creationary. Okay, I haven't played that one. Okay, cool. All right.
I played Ninja Stars. I don't know if you played it.
Okay.
Learning how simple rules are hard to.
Ninja Stars. Okay, cool. I haven't heard that one. It'd be great if people can tweet these ones so everyone else can know these. That'd be great. So anyone who put up their hand, can you, if you can tweet what it is to Agile Games, hashtag Agile Games, that'd be great. If you don't know how to Twitter, find someone else who can do it. Pair tweet with you. Pair tweeting is safe. All right. So I'll thank you for everyone for sharing that. That's great. I'll walk you through what kind of how I think about it, or how I used to think about it before I heard some of your ideas. So play for learning, right? So what do we have here? We have games for learning. People learning about process, learning technical skills. But the most important one is really about learning attitudes and ways of thinking and changing a mindset. That's what I find games are especially powerful for, really deep learning. There's things like Tasty Cupcakes, which is, can you guys stand up? Okay, this is where, and I will now take off my Innovation Games t-shirt. I will now doff my Innovation Games t-shirt, which is all about the seriously fun way to do serious work seriously, right? So this goes here, right? Innovation Games. But Tasty Cupcakes. Tasty Cupcakes is where we're at right now, right? So games for learning. And there are also games for doing work in here, but I had to put it somewhere. Okay. And there's also an Agile Games mailing list group for people who want to discuss games. So it's also quite good. And there's also Play for Agile conference, which is run every year in Europe. That's kind of has very similar goals to this conference. Getting people energized around play in games. So I want to talk a bit about these things. I'm going to tell you a few stories of some of the ways that I've used or experienced play for learning. So here's one, Tasty Cupcakes. So Tasty Cupcakes is a website dedicated to sharing games, right? So if you have a problem, so the best use case I have is you have a problem at your work situation. It's about people don't understand about, I don't know, like if we're talking about Agile, it could be about don't know how to do estimation well. Or it could be because they're having a challenge with the product owner role, right? So you can go here and you can just search for games based on whatever it is. There are also topics and all that sort of stuff. So this is like the destination site in our community. So now it's really simple to use, and I'm going to let you experience some of it. So once you actually go there, you can actually just click on a button and get a printout of the game and go play it. So this is a really cool thing. Now what I'm going to do so you can experience this is hand out 3 games to you, and each table figure out which it thinks is the most valuable game, the game that you'd want to play the most, right? And I'm not suggesting that one of you would like volunteer to run it or find someone to help you run it on tomorrow during the games tournament. I'm not suggesting that, but that might happen, right? And that would be an accident, which we could all live with. Here you go. So please, each table, find out what you think is the most valuable game for your table. For you individually, and then also as a table, which one you'd want to play the most. Let's do a survey for each table. So put up your hand if your table, and if you didn't agree, just put up your hand as an individual. If your table picked 99 test balloons is the most interesting game. Okay. All right. Put up your hand if you as a table picked collaborative origami as the one you thought was most interesting. Okay. Put up your hand if you thought Fearless Journey was the one that you thought was most interesting. Okay. So these games are easy to play. Like some of these are so easy you don't even need to have played them before. So I will make a comment about collaborative origami. This is part of my standard Agile bootcamp training. Like everybody who's working on a team needs to know this, right? Needs to know about what it feels like to work with closely with people and work with distributed team. Whether you're a distributor or not, because somebody's going to be distributed, like a client, someone working from home. So everyone needs to understand this and understand what the challenges are and how to mitigate it.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've heard from my folks is that distributed teams and not working face-to-face is un-agile-like.
I want to talk to you about this after the session, because that's way, way off the plate. Okay? That's a great topic. I'd love to talk about that. Not right now. Thank you. Fearless Journey. Fearless Journey. If anyone wants to play this, like really, there's some things you need to print out, but I have the cards. I have a set of cards. So if you do want to play this game, I have a set of cards. Like they go like small successes to avoid becoming overwhelmed, the challenges and all the things you have to do takes baby steps, right? So anyway, I have all the cards. They're actually fun just to look at, just to learn about the game, but learn about the patterns. But if you want to play the game, I have them. Okay. Any questions about the games before I go on?
Do you also have the origami stuff?
Origami, that's pretty easy. I didn't bring up origami instructions, but you can just go to a website and Google, origami instructions. And if you can't find it, Twitter me and I'll tweet the URL.
There's a link on the JC.
Oh, there's a link. Yeah, so the PDF you can just get. So that's a really easy one to run. Okay? Other questions about the games? So I'm really not encouraging you right now or sometime over the next couple of days to go on the TC Cup site and browse for games. I'm not doing that. Because I know you're all busy and you want to pay full attention to this conference. Here's here's an infographic I drew up like a year and a half or 2 years ago just to try to help myself make sense of the landscape of games. So I had some games that are about people or games that are about the system. Games that are about concepts or games that are about experiencing a reality. So concepts I really mean about learning. This is like the learning quadrant, right? So like this collaborative origami I put up here. It's all about people understanding concepts, right? It's all about understanding how people work together, right? Whereas there are things that I have over here, like the business value game, which is really about understanding how the system behaves, or things like the ballpoint game, which helps team understand how they can use feedback and learning to become high-performance team. So those are about learning concepts about the system, not so much about learning concepts as individuals and individual behavior. So anyway, this is just an example. And of course, like the list grew. Like after I did this, then there was like another 10 games, another 10 games. So I didn't update it, but on my webpage that has this on it, there's a list of all the other games and which category they belong to. Okay, so that's kind of games for learning, right? I mean, games for learning is incredibly powerful. It's one of the reasons that Agile has been able to get success is because people are able to play these games and really get the concepts. Right? That really helps accelerate the shift in mindset that's needed for successful Agile. Okay, so that's it for play for learning. Now I'll switch gears, talk about play for work and the kinds of things that I see in this category. And if you want to update your little map as you go, you can do that. This is also available online. So you can just download my version if you want. But it's better if you draw your own and draw your own little pictures, because that's a great way for the brain to learn. So there's things like planning poker, right, or any kind of estimation games. I hope everyone knows now that estimation 2.0 is the great way to start a project, not with planning poker. There's facilitation type activities, retrospectives, and that's a whole umbrella that I wish I knew more about, actually. There's innovation games, so I'm actually an innovation games qualified instructor. And it's about understanding your customer. So Agile, it's all about, if you try to build the wrong stuff, even if you're really great, you'll just end up with the wrong stuff really quickly, right? So this is about making sure, like fast, actionable market research, make sure you build stuff right. So those are like really, really important games for doing work on any kind of team that's trying to deliver any kind of product, which seems like every team. And the stuff, some stuff I started getting into last year is strategic play or Lego serious play. So this is a technology invented at Lego for solving their company's strategic planning problems. And it's really can be used for, it's really just to create a facilitated discussion to get deep understanding in a way that you can't get to with other techniques. So that's been like a huge, huge addition to my toolkit in the last year. So let me talk a bit about these things. Whoa. So here's a oh, this doesn't turn out very well here, eh? Rats, sorry. These are all different games that are in the original Innovation Games book. What's that?
Better on that side.
It's better on that side. Oh, good. We'll look at that one. So there are things that are generative for generating product ideas, things like product blocks, remember the future, give them a hot tub, prune the product. Give them the hot tub is really funny. Is you give people out crazy outlandish ideas for a product, and that helps them get out of their box and get these creative ideas and get the creative juices flowing, right? There are games for prioritizing. Things like, I love this game, buy a feature. Is you give them a list of the features and you say how much each was the cost, and you have them argue about or work together to figure out which ones they're going to buy, right? So sure, people, you get a list of what's important for them and which ones they actually bought, but the more important thing is when you're listening, you hear what's really important for them and the reasons why they want to buy one over the other, and which ones multiple people bought, so you can see which one has a broader base of support within your community. So these games like totally kick ass for doing product management and helping Agile teams build great products. And then there's understanding current usage. Things like Speedboat, where you find out what's all the things that are holding the project back. Start your day, where people talk about all the different times they use your product at different times of day, different times of the week, different times of the month, different times of the year, so you can see where and when people use the product. So you get a deeper understanding beyond just like what's my use case, or and so on. All right, so really, really great stuff. There's a whole book written on this. There's a great training course on this. So I want to show you one example of Speedboat in real life. And I'll let you read this. This is literally what came out of, and this is the presentation that came out of a workshop with executives. So this is about using Speedboat as a way to understand current state of the organization. And as you can see here, it's like pretty revealing, right? It's like, right? Like this is like a scary place to be for those guys. And because they were able to play this game, they were actually able to express it and agree in a coherent picture about what their challenges were, right? What's kind of, step one, you have to agree you have a problem, and then step two, you can work on it. And now I'm going to talk about the same group, but this time they're using Lego. So one person built this environment, which he described as a challenging environment. Forces arrayed against the team. So here's the team. They've got a flower, right? And there's a dragon out here. There's someone coming at them with a weapon. There's this machine that's going to chop them into bits. This is the same environment, right? You heard the leadership challenge, blah, blah, blah. The same person, when they got to Lego, they go, this is what it feels like. So this is what I found is the difference is that games with sticky notes and things like that, you can get to the analytical side, but when you use Lego, all the emotions come out. And you get to like a deeper level of understanding than you do if you just have sticky notes, right? And this was done by the SVP in this group, right? These are not like developers doing this. This is like senior executives doing this and finding this an extremely valuable activity. Another person in that group built this, and she said, little foundation, disparate teams, disadvantage for the get-go, unstable and hazardous environment, right? Like these are the people are saying these words when they're describing what they built, right? And they only have like 30 blocks of Lego to build this with. I mean, this is like incredibly revealing with a very small amount of material. And in this story, this person here, you know how they look like they're up there and they're looking kind of maybe not a great place to be. She actually knocked the person off to describe what it's like in that environment, because you're up there and then things fall apart underneath you and you go down. Right? So these kinds of games, this kind of play, is really powerful for making the emotional connection. Right? And a really powerful way to do work. Like this blew my mind. I didn't even know this kind of stuff was possible to get to this level of capability. Yeah?
Can you show that list that came from the sticky again?
Sure. right? So there are more pages. This is just one out of 8 pages from the sticky notes. The sticky notes are really good for getting the big picture of intellectually what's kind of the challenges. But to get to the emotional tone, they didn't really get to the emotional tone. It's like, yeah, we have problems. We have problems with alignment. We have government standards. This is as like, oh my God, it's a nightmare, right? So it's like, it had a very different energy. Yeah?
So what was interesting to me is that list there for the sticky notes could
Yep.
apply to any company.
Yeah.
But when you start getting to the Lego play, you could see that there were different.
Really? That could apply to any company? Oh, okay. I was hoping it doesn't apply to any company. Okay, thank you. All right.
So I'm assuming that with the executive group, with the Legos, there must be something that you're doing leading up to that. You don't just sit a bunch of VPs.
Oh, yeah. They're really scared. They're really scared. Like the VP I'm working for who had this.
Point where they're willing to kind of divulge all of that and reveal kind of their emotions.
Okay, so yeah, so that's interesting. So the way the Lego works is it just works. Yes, the question was, well, ooh, how do people like make themselves naked, right? So quickly, right? So the story is that everyone builds and everyone tells a story about what they built. That's part of it. The other part of it is that when people build with their hands, they're using their right brain and their left brain, and it's coming directly from like deep within their brain, right? And they sometimes don't even fully understand what they're building until after they built it. And one guy told a story at a public workshop I was running in California once for the lean group out there, and one guy said, "I can't believe what I just told everyone here." And he was the people he had never met before. It wasn't people he worked with, it was just people he'd never met before sitting at the same table at this user group meeting. And that's the power. That's the power, because people, when they build stuff, they want to tell their story, right? So because the part of the thing is, it's not. Hey, I'm telling you a story about my real life over here. No. I'm telling you a story about the Lego model, right? There's a disassociation. There's a distance that makes it safer to tell that story. Because we can talk about a leadership problem, but we're not putting anyone's name on it, right? We're just talking about a general problem. Okay.
Do you direct this, though? Or how do you prevent people from building spaceships out of Lego?
The spaceship may be a very meaningful thing, right?
I guess.
So the thing that... So part of it is about, and this is why I went for a 3-day facilitator training on Lego, is to learn how to do this effectively. Right? I thought the first time I experienced, I can do this, right? But it actually turned out that it was good to go. So, and learn how to do this properly. Okay, last question.
Do you do the post-it analysis first and then do the Legos, or do you jump right into the Legos?
No, so I'm this crazy experimenter, right? So I thought, I was working with the executives, so executive teams go faster than normal people, right? Because they're like pretty smart, right? Well, they have to be. That's why they get promoted, because they go faster, right? And we did this, and then I had a bit more time in the schedule. So I said, we did that thing on Speedboat to talk about current challenges. You know what? Let's just do this exercise in Lego, because we were building up to another Lego activity. I just said, on the way, let me just build this. I was just curious, what would happen? I was figuring I'd get roughly the same thing. I didn't know until I ran this workshop that I would get different results. You probably people in the room are the only people who know that you're going to get such dramatically different results from Speedboat versus from using Lego Serious Play. Because it's not really well known, because most people don't do both. Okay? So yeah, so it was a discovery. I was like, woo, I learned something. This is cool. Great. So I'm not going to show this video. I'm running out of time. Okay. I was going to show a video. It's online if you want to go see it. So when people build something called a shared model with Lego, there's an example of something that a table of 8 people built to describe what they saw as a resolution of the leadership challenges within the Scrum Alliance. This was done at the Agile 2011 conference last year in Salt Lake City. And what they described, I'll just describe it quickly, is that there's a community of users that are all communicating. There's a centralized backlog. There's a leader who's directing where the organization is going. That there's a working system for people to, it's actually building stuff that people can engage in the community with. And then there are people who are kind of like missionaries going out and connecting with other communities and building bridges with other groups. And there's some people to help casualties from waterfall projects to come on board and recover. Anyway, so this is the kind of thing where people were able to sit together and build a shared vision of what they wanted to have happen. and accomplish. And there's a video, and there's actually a video annotation explaining this in detail of what it is and what it meant, right? Yeah. Okay. So that is work for play.